Augusto Boal's foundational premise is that all theater is inherently political. Because every human activity is political, theater is no exception. This challenges the comforting assumption that art exists purely for pleasure, or that it can function as a neutral, objective observation of the world. Boal argued that any attempt to separate art from politics is a deliberate ideological tactic. The ruling class uses this perceived neutrality to mask the values embedded in the work. Traditional theater functions as an efficient weapon of the state. It is a mechanism designed to pacify the public through the stories it tells. Turning this weapon into a tool for liberation requires us to understand how its original architecture was engineered to control the audience. Western dramatic theory rests on Aristotle's Poetics. For over 2,000 years, it has served as the primary manual for how stories are structured. Modern writers often treat the Poetics as a benign, structural blueprint. They see it as a set of mechanical rules for crafting a satisfying or natural narrative. Boal offers a radical counterclaim. He argues that Aristotle's rules construct an extremely powerful poetic political system designed specifically for mass intimidation. This coercive framework remains the standard today. It dictates the rhythm of modern television soap operas and the structure of global blockbuster films. By accepting these narrative rules as natural, we unknowingly subject our audiences to an ancient mechanism of behavioral control. Originally, theater took the form of the dithyrambic song. This was a horizontal, open-air celebration where all citizens participated freely and equally in a circle. The aristocracy intervened, partitioning the space to reflect their hierarchy. Breaking the circle invented the protagonist, granting the aristocrat the exclusive right to stand on the elevated stage. The remaining public became the spectator, stripped of agency and forced to remain seated, entirely passive. This abstract political division calcified into the literal, physical stone architecture of the ancient Greek amphitheaters. The layout of a traditional theater is a physical diagram of class subjugation. Its design is engineered specifically to enforce the passivity of the masses, while the elite drive the action. Aristotle justified this structure through his foundational rule: art imitates nature. We usually interpret this as a call for realism. We assume nature refers to the physical world, and imitate means to create an accurate copy of it. Boal's translation of mimesis changes everything. In the Aristotelian sense, to imitate means to recreate, rather than to copy an exterior model. Aristotle's definition of nature refers to the creative principle itself. It is the underlying, purposeful force that determines the correct way things should be made. Aristotle commands writers to replicate the hidden engine that dictates how reality functions. He is instructing them to reinforce the ruling class's version of the natural order. This creative principle was born out of a pre-Socratic battle over the physical nature of change, a debate Aristotle needed to resolve to build his system. Heraclitus argued the universe exists in constant flux. He believed reality is driven by internal contradiction. In his view, stability is a mere illusion. He declared that war is the mother of all things, meaning struggle is the only true constant. Parmenides and Zeno offered a reactionary counterargument. Relying on strict logic, they claimed that change and motion are actually impossible. Zeno concluded that movement is a sensory illusion. For this school of thought, only absolute stasis and eternal unity are real. This was a dangerous political debate. If Heraclitus is right, the social order can be overthrown. If Zeno is right, aristocratic rule is an eternal, unchangeable law of nature. Aristotle synthesized these views by inventing the concept of substance. He defined it as the indissoluble unity of chaotic matter and perfect form. In this system, matter is raw potential. Form is the ultimate purpose that gives that matter its state-approved meaning and shape. Applying this to the stage, the tragic hero is the chaotic matter. The hero's fatal flaw is a deviation from the perfect, lawful form that society expects of them. Tragedy serves as a machine to process this deviation. The hero is punished for their illegal tendencies, specifically to induce fear and pity in the passive spectator. This process triggers catharsis. It is an emotional purge that eliminates the spectator's own rebellious impulses, effectively restoring them to a docile, perfect form. Aristotle's tragedy is a behavioral correction machine. It allows the spectator to simulate rebellion, only to emotionally terrorize them back into total subjugation. As the aristocracy fell, the coercive mechanism of theater adapted to its new surroundings. It merely changed its mask to fit the next era. The bourgeoisie shifted the focus. Machiavelli replaced Aristotle's moral values with the exceptional individual driven by virtue, ambitious, multidimensional figures who remained separate from the people. Bertolt Brecht's epic theater was the first major structural reaction against this system of control. Brecht tried to break the spell by showing characters as objects of social forces. He wanted the audience to see the strings of society rather than hidden moral values. Brecht revealed how society operated, but he maintained the fundamental architecture of the stage. The spectator remained a passive observer, watching a lesson rather than participating in the transformation. Boll argued that dismantling a coercive system requires the total destruction of its physical and political architecture. Changing the script is not enough. The barrier between the actor and the spectator must be destroyed. All must become protagonists in the actual transformation of society. Boal called this radical reclamation the poetics of the oppressed. It represents the literal conquest of the means of theatrical production by the audience. This reclamation leads to Boal's ultimate mandate regarding the role of the viewer. Political liberation requires the death of the spectator. We must stop watching the world be acted upon and begin acting out its transformation ourselves.